Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank you for coming to my first university-wide public address as president of the University of Houston Clear Lake. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I also want to express my sincere gratitude for all the kindness, support, and optimism you've shown me, both personally and professionally. Whether in facilities, maintenance and construction, student affairs, administration and finance, or academic affairs, staff, faculty, and students have been most welcoming and helpful. And beyond our campus and the broader community, some of our 60,000 plus alumni, regional leaders, healthcare providers, small business owners, heads of not-for-profit organizations, and school administrators have been generous as well, and have repledged their support to UH Clear Lake as we work to make our region's future better than its present or past. My goal today, after 100 days of us being together, not a long time, huh? Is to get us all on the same page in the same chapter of the University of Houston Clear Lake's history of service to the Galveston-Houston region. I also want to formally mark UH Clear Lake's promise as a high-impact university for the 21st century. That promise will be compromised if we do not define what it means for us, what it takes for us to accomplish it, how to determine that we are actually making our desired progress, and what, where, when, and how to adjust as necessary in our joint pursuit of that promise. So let me share with you a Cliff Note version, sorry faculty, of what I've learned about who we are, where we are, and what we need to collectively track to realize our university's promise. Let's begin with lessons from the hurricane called Harvey. As you all know, I'm not a native Houstonian or a long-term resident. I actually arrived 25 days, yes, only 25 days, before Hurricane Harvey made landfall near Rockport, Texas. In less than 1 month, I had to make my first decision as president, a major decision about whether to close the university before it actually opened for the 2017-18 academic year. Based on the wisdom of our local hurricane experts, I determined that it was prudent to delay university opening. What happened in our service region was devastating. Harvey blew, surged, and dumped water up to an accumulated 65 inches in some neighborhoods across the greater Houston-Galveston metropolitan area. I had heard the names of many towns in our service region when I visited to find a residence, but my formal introduction to these towns were photos such as these. But we're talking about lessons learned. Our campus response to Harvey was the first lesson, and that was staff, faculty, students pulling together with every intention of minimizing Harvey's impact and speeding up our recovery. Fortunately, UH Clear Lake's main campus, our Pearl Lane campus, and our program site at Texas Medical Center did not suffer any irreparable or major damage. This information was provided daily through Harvey status reports from our police department to the campus's emergency management team. The worst of it was about 3 to 5 inches of water at the Pearland campus, which our facilities crew and staff, along with the help of the Alvin Community College facilities crew and their basketball team, cleaned Pearland up in record time. The hidden lining of Harvey was not silver, but one of UH Clear Lake Kevlar. Working with UH Clear Lake leaders on the emergency management team, I learned that we are a community of care, commitment, and cooperation. But more so, we are also tough. There is a saying, sometimes when things are falling apart, they may be actually falling into place. Our response to Harvey taught me that when we move in the same direction for a common purpose, we are unstoppable, unbreakable, triumphant. I want to thank our emergency management team and its leader, Mr. Al Black, the Ride-Out crew and its leader, Chief Alan Hill, President Crystal Albrecht of Alvin Community College and her team, and everyone else who helped. Those who I may have forgotten or been aware of, I want to thank you all for the extraordinary service, personal sacrifice, and genuine commitment to the well-being of UH Clear Lake. So what else have I learned about UH Clear Lake, pre, during, and post-Harvey? Importantly, that our university's presence in the region is well regarded, and residents express palpable hope that UH Clear Lake will expand and enrich its impact on their lives and communities. Consequently, it is our responsibility as a public university to revisit our purpose and ideal for existing. In more familiar terms, we need to re-examine our mission and vision, as well as our goals. Our last comprehensive strategic planning process produced the 2010-2015 strategic plan. 2012 brought it the state and regent's approval of UH Clear Lake becoming a comprehensive four-year university. In academic year 2015-16, we instituted a self-study process under John N. Gardner's Foundations of Excellence, implementing that plan in academic year 2016-17. We also gained approval to construct several buildings. The STEM classroom building in Rec and Wellness, currently under construction. Our first official residence hall due to open in 2019. And the health sciences classroom building on the Pearland campus is getting ready to break ground. All of these buildings are to support our public purpose and vision for UHCL's evolving role in our region, and as a sister institution in the University of Houston system. What we do and intend to do at UH Clear Lake is our unique contribution to the system of public universities of which we are a part, and that is the University of Houston system. So, while the ways in which we pursue our mission and vision are shaped by the distinctive opportunities and challenges within our core service region, we need to be cognizant of the responsibility to align our goals and priorities with those of our system. It is our collective effort as sister institutions within the UH system that magnifies our impact on the greater Houston area and reverberates beyond. What I've learned is that that is based on past planning up to my arrival, our resource allocations align well with UH system's priorities in this fashion. So, how do we use the past to, in the words of Abraham Maslow, step forward into growth rather than step backward into safety? We will examine our past with intentionality, identify those elements which remain meaningful, bring them into the present, and leverage them for greater progress toward the future we desire. A Ghanaian proverb referred to as Sankofa and symbolized by a bird with its head turned backwards in order to gain a precious egg on its back captures this process for me. The proverb translates, "It is not wrong to go back for that which you have forgotten." By extension, Sankofa tells us that out of strong history comes a stronger future. To ensure that our work toward a future that we value, that has impact in a region, what we're going to need to do is to engage in the development of our next strategic plan. We will begin the strategic planning process in the spring with full representation of our campus membership, as well as the inclusion of some of our alumni and key invested community partners. I will be working with leaders of internal and external constituencies to ensure that representation in our strategic planning process is both broad and inclusive with multiple perspectives. I want to take a moment to comment on a very important process in higher ed, and that is shared governance. Shared governance is a complex activity that has to be engaged in mindfully with respect for the professional roles and responsibilities of community members. And I quote, "It is a delicate balance between faculty and staff participation in planning, decision-making, budgeting, and resource allocation on the one hand, and administrative accountability on the other." Unquote. To engage in genuine shared governance, we have to conscientiously give voice and enable influence to the diverse membership of our community, as well as, when appropriate, those outside with vested interest in our work. A review of institutional policies will be an important part of our strategic planning process, and I've already charged Dr. Carol Carmen, the co-chair of the University Life Committee of UH Clear Lake's current shared governance structure, to begin that review, and it is underway. So, getting back to lessons learned in the first 100 days together. My review of our history, the purpose of our creation, the quality of our faculty, the integration of classroom theory and real-world problem solving, the love and commitment of you all to this university, and our public's hope for an even more integral role in our region tells me that we can become the university of choice within our region and beyond. In my lessons, I have identified 4 critical and substantive areas in UH Clear Lake's history that require examination as we undertake strategic planning. The first is educational excellence, in which I tentatively identified 3 core sub-areas. Suffice it to say, and I won't belabor the point, but UH Clear Lake was created to provide advanced study to NASA Johnson Space Center employees, administrators, staff, engineers, and yes, rocket scientists and astronauts. While I'm sure that I'm not sure of the number of rocket scientists within UH Clear Lake degrees. By all accounts, I do know we have 10 astronauts who have degrees from here. And they're across majors in STEM, humanities and arts, and business. Some of the most persistent, intelligent, creative, imaginative, innovative people on the face of the earth who would not settle for poor instruction, incomplete knowledge, limited expertise, bridled curiosity, and constrained possibilities completed degrees at UH Clear Lake. The lesson is that our faculty are brilliant teachers, active scholars who do not simply regurgitate past knowledge and instruction, but design academic programs and learning opportunities which use past knowledge as a fulcrum for better understanding, to stimulate meaningful problem solving, to unleash imagination, to spur invention, and not so simply but important, to change our world for the better. To that end, We must identify and resource professional development for our faculty in order to maintain our fundamental educational excellence. Students also learn from each other and practice with each other. I arrive sometimes very early at UH Clear Lake, and I'm amazed to see students are already here. Some of them are studying together, others are engaged in conversation. We need to explore how to increase more formal, substantive peer learning experiences. Oh, I'm sorry, that's where we should be. For example, through group assignments, focused discussion, forensic competitions, service learning projects, study abroad and away, interdisciplinary student research, and the like. I'm not saying when, where, how, or even what, but the integration of peer learning must make sense for the learning objectives, educational delivery model, and subject matter being taught by the faculty. Keep in mind that the classroom is the faculty members' purview. But we should also keep in mind that there are other ways in which we can engage students in peer learning. We can leverage student development opportunities within the Student Affairs Division to formally extend and enrich those learning experiences. An important and essential complement to academic programs is career exploration and development. In the academy, it has been traditionally argued that we do not prepare students for jobs, but we educate. Public higher ed's landscape has changed over the last decade or so, such that we can no longer collectively run from that public responsibility. UH Clear Lake's history indicates that recognition of and respect for the connectedness between careers in the real world and academic study are part of our educational fabric. The overriding goal here is to improve competencies, increase confidence, and enhance competitiveness for advancement or promotion. This interconnectedness between higher ed and career advancement has always been part of UH Clear Lake's educational mission. Many of you have heard me talk about this, the component of developmentally intentional experiential learning opportunities. For all students, appropriately aligning experiential learning with a student's major is an example of bringing beneficial knowledge from the past into the present to extend UH Clear Lake's model of the past to new student groups, particularly first time in college and transfer students. Intuitively, we want students to explore their dispositional preferences, their skills, strengths, and weaknesses, their global career interest. That's during their first year. Maybe take a road trip. In their second year, we can imagine them participating in some job shadowing or a well-structured group project for a not-for-profit or a small business. And then in their third or fourth year, they could do an internship, as they do currently, study abroad or away in their major career interest, work in a community service project, or just a community research project as a team member to explore and apply their knowledge and skills from their major. You might ask, how in the world will we ever do this? Provide all of our students with these career-related experiential learning experiences. I would answer through arrangements with businesses, organizations, and agencies in our service region and around the world, but especially through our network of 60,000 plus alumni like these. I won't list the accomplishments of them, but do know that our alumni are prominent leaders, innovators, and experts, and many of them are willing to assist UH Clear Lake, their alma mater, and providing a better Hawk experience for student generations that follow them. Just yesterday, when I was introduced to two gentlemen during a meeting in Pearland, they said they were UH Clear Lake alums, were already providing internships, and were willing to help more. They offered me their business cards. The Student Affairs and Advancement Divisions are already partnering in this area. Mr. Dwayne Busby, our Executive Director of Development and Alumni Relations, and Dr. Chuck Crocker, Director of Career Services, are gathering information and brainstorming ways to expand and build new partnerships for our program faculty that will give greater benefit for our students. So, returning to lessons learned again, it is important to know who we serve, not only the numbers of students, their levels, but also demographically who they are. If we intend to continue delivering the highest quality educational experiences to students we admit, then we need to understand, at a minimum, who they are, what strengths and weaknesses they bring to us in terms of our educational goals for them, and what changes their interests, both in terms of major and career. Alexander Den Heijer, a Dutch motivational speaker, says this: when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. For us at UH Clear Lake, the metaphor refers to what we do to develop and prepare our students to do well here at UH Clear Lake and later in the world at large. Recall Sankofa, and you will hopefully agree, that we have done our work well in the past. We want to do so in the future. However, to continue to do so, to graduate students to meet the social, educational, economic, and cultural needs of our service region, we need more students. The funds that we receive from state appropriations and the tuition and fees we receive from students sustain us financially. It is important to understand that each and every student we recruit and enrolls has an impact on our financial health, affecting our biennial state appropriations and, depending on persistence, influencing the amount of tuition and fee revenue we receive. These sources of revenue directly shape our ability to operate organizationally and educationally, and further influence our ability to innovate, to resource that innovation, to hire new faculty and staff, to professionally develop ourselves, and to resource that professional development. With the Comprehensive University Initiative of 2014, the profile of our students has been evolving. The data indicate that we must consider the needs of these expanding undergraduate groups as we perform strategic planning. This is so also for graduate students at the master's level as well as the doctoral level. Based on what I've learned, we need to grow these student enrollments, provide them the expected UH Clear Lake high-quality educational experiences with support, graduate them, and send them forth to contribute to the prosperity of and innovation in our service region and beyond. With the hope that they will value the UH Clear Lake education like previous alumni and return to offer their time, talent, and treasure so that we continue to improve and to contribute. Thus, increasing the enrollment of all types of students is critical for building our financial resources, which are needed to operate and to fund our vision of educational excellence. You're all aware that we are running a deficit and anticipate doing so for the next 2 operating cycles if there are no increases in student enrollment. Increases in student enrollment will positively affect state appropriation and tuition and fees. Our main strategies to date for managing that deficit have been using our reserves or our savings account, not filling some position vacancies to capture the salary savings, and reducing operating budgets by an across-the-board percentage in order to service that shortfall. I know that you understand that this is not a viable long-term strategy. We must identify students who, with our help, have the potential to be successful at UH Clear Lake. We need to design support services that enhance students' ability to persist with satisfactory academic progress to completion. We need to mount strongly our capital campaign, which we will launch in late February as part of the University of Houston system. Please know that I genuinely need your assistance. We have few months to shape the dimensions of our clear and compelling cases for why our alumni, regional supporters, members of our campus, and friends and family members should contribute, all while we are developing our strategic plan. If you have ideas and time to assist, please contact my office or the advancement office. I'd like to publicly thank those faculty and staff members who have already volunteered their time and expertise. At the heart of healthy strategic planning is comprehensive strategy in enrollment management. I'm not talking about the conventional services that contribute heavily to enrollment management, such as admissions, financial aid, the bursar, and the registrar, but targets for differentiated enrollment among students at all student levels. The competitive use of scholarships to design the overall student population across colleges and distinct programs. Advising support tailored for the targeted students, subgroups, and academic support appropriate to the range of needs of those targets. Also, we need to look at career development opportunities to connect academic majors with potential career tracks. Another perspective on who we are, or who our students are those who have chosen to enroll and those who we have recruited, identified by race, ethnicity, attendance, status, and gender. We are an Hispanic serving institution, an HSI, which has special status in higher ed and also is identified with special challenges historically. What does this mean in terms of curriculum, co-curricular learning experiences, student organizations, campus life? What does it mean for diversity and inclusion? Our strategic planning process needs to fully address this fact. Also, we need to understand what it means to have as many part-time as full-time students who are undergraduates. This fact is known to affect retention and persistence to completion for undergraduate students. And as in the trend in higher ed, there is a significant disproportion between male and female students at all levels. How should we consider this fact in our strategic planning? That's undergraduate students we're looking at. The same is true for master's and for doctoral level. Keep in mind the students we recruit and those who choose to come here shape the demand for academic programs and student services. We need to consider our offerings and propose new ones in terms of what we want to be distinctive in our program contributions and in terms of those programs that lead to high demand occupations as well as emerging careers. For example, our region no longer has a need for switchboard operators or milkmen, but there is high demand for a certified ethical hacker, and for nuclear medical technologists. We need to identify others, design educational programs that lead to their delivery in appropriate ways. The last lesson I would like to mention briefly is community building. To the community of care that I mentioned earlier, I would like to add community of engagement. The level of both in our service region is absolutely extraordinary. The diversity of our students, including our international students, the performances offered to us through the Bayou Theater, the international experts brought to campus by our faculty, enrich learning for all of us. We need to examine how we build such impressive community and identify ways in which we might expand that engagement, become a model of inclusive engagement, both on campus and in the region. Well, we've come to my thank you slide. This slide represents what I have already come to love about UH Clear Lake, our students. I know that faculty and staff love them and that they so care about each other. And we all want our students' futures to be satisfying, productive, and contributing. The effort we put into strategic planning and our continued determination to deliver to them the most enriching and challenging educational experiences will help to accomplish that. We know that the work is hard. That is true of the nature of teaching and learning. Both teacher and learner should at sometimes get a headache. But there's no better work to do if one wants to accomplish something better, drive progress, and contribute to transformation. I thank you for being here today and would like to end my address with a quote from John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States of America, which I believe is so reflective of UH Clear Lake. And I quote, "Our progress as a nation can be no swifter than our progress in education. The human mind is our fundamental resource." Thank you. Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, I think there are refreshments that follow, so let's go and partake. Thank you again.